Hello everybody, we are the Geeks and Degenerates, and today we are ending our slate of Filipino movies for Independence Week with a not so overrated movie, I would say. A very
Mm.
small one,
Yeah,
called,
it's a very underrated movie.
yeah, called Smaller and Smaller Circles. What's it about? It's about two priests trying to catch a serial killer.
Like, what do you call him again?
Guess
Yeah,
who
yeah.
it? Is that what we're trying to say?
Jesuit. There we go. There we go. Anyway, you can cut that part out. Don't put that in. I will strangle you. You will be the next victim without his face.
Anyway,
But yeah, yeah. I was
uh,
like, I am actually surprised, like, that the main plot of this was two Jewish priests uh investigating a murder that no other law enforcement wanted to touch for some
yeah.
reason.
And this is not for the faint of heart, because they do show the
No,
crime
it's not.
scenes, and it's mostly kids, and their kids' face are it's like peeled off,
Yeah,
uh, genitals ripped out. You're like, oh fuck.
yeah, heart ripped out, face ripped out. Like it is literal, not Nicolas Cage or John Travolta face off, but but like this with this Jewish noir
Why
movie
do you
that we
say it
had
like
here.
that? Jesuit, Jesuit,
I,
my friend.
Jesuit, sorry. Lord. No, but like um the main plot here is two priests trying to investigate a killing of six children at the time.
Yeah,
Six children, six boys, being murdered out in the ghetto parts of the Philippines.
yeah, and this movie doesn't really star any big names. It's Noni Juan Camino and Madeline Humphreys, who was Joanna. Uh,
Mm.
can't forgot the name of
Sid
the other priest.
Rosario,
Yeah,
yeah,
as the other
uh,
priest.
he was a very handsome man.
Yeah,
He's actually a model.
he
Um,
kind of looks like our mutual friend who's very smart.
yeah, very, very.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Actually, I
why
said that.
watching it, I'm like, shit, that looks like blanky blank.
Yeah. Um, the guy who plays as Senna, uh, I think he was in Honolulu as one of the corrupt politicians.
Yeah, yeah, he's the
Yeah,
one
on
who's
the
like,
table. Yeah,
I didn't betray Henry Luna, even though he was part of the setup to,
betray
have,
Honolulu.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, this piece of shit. The
Yeah,
actor, I mean, not the actor, but all in all, everyone's acting their part really good. And as always, this is a spoiler review, so if you don't want any spoilers, just come back,
like
add
away
this to
now.
your
Watch,
favorites.
yeah. Watch the movie. Come back here, and we'll discuss it.
But you should know, we are recommending this.
This is an amazing movie. I would
Yeah.
say. I saw the ratings for this. It was like 6 something. I was like, nah, this thing deserves a little bit more.
Yeah,
Like, sure, it's not a perfect crime movie. It's not like 7, but like, it is still a really good crime movie. When our country we don't really have a lot, or sometimes when we do, it's very
yeah, it's
cheesy.
by the
It's
numbers.
very yeah. It's by the numbers. There's no, you know, there's no good ending to this movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Like how everything's like a fairy tale when it comes to crime movies here in the Philippines. There's
Yeah.
always a shootout. There's barely a gun fired in this
Um, and since you compared it to Seven, like in the same way, this movie does feel like it has dirt on it. It's like it's a
movie. Yeah,
very like isolated town, even though they are near. I would say they are in Manila, near
yeah,
somewhere in Manila, Quezon City, because they're right at some point they have to go to CCP. I'm like, oh, they must be near them.
yeah. And at the last scene where Lucario, uh, I don't know if I pronounced it right. Lucario.
Yeah.
One of the younger priests was in like Marikina, the cemetery in Marikina. I
Yeah, yeah.
recognize.
Uh, but yeah, it's them trying to capture this killer who's killing kids, and the law is like, oh, we don't really care about that, because
Yeah,
uh,
it's in the ghetto part of our
yeah.
country.
And according to attorney Arsenas, is like, there's no fame in that. Why would I want to do that anyway? but director Lastimosa is like, no, it's the right thing to do, and
Dude, the director was so cool.
I love the director.
I was like, these men do not exist in this real world.
Ah, yes. Like an interesting review. Here's another mythical feature in the Philippines.
Mind you, the two main characters here are not cops.
Yeah,
They are private investigators, but they are priests.
yeah,
And they're also not shying away from the biggest, I would say, stereotype that we have here for priests.
yeah,
And like they do kind of like hit on it,
yeah,
which is, yes, some priests do take advantage of the newly coming boys or coming into the church. I don't know what you call them. Sorry.
uh, and that's what I like. Like the two main things that are like hindering this investigation are the religious politics and the politics.
Yeah. So like they would stop financing Senna,
Yeah,
Father Senna, but because he's digging into a very, very high profile priest who has a lot of
cases.
I would say case of um, taking advantage of the little boys in the church.
Yeah.
And the entire time that he tried to bring it up, or he goes to the head priest, somebody who's like very close to the Vatican, they always try to brush it under the rug
Yeah, yeah,
because you don't want any friction between them because it is politics, it is money. But also at the same time, like you're like, how dare you stop a fellow brother from doing more good? He's like, you cannot mask a man taking advantage of little boys as doing something good.
yeah.
It's pretty much. I'm paraphrasing, but like, of course, these were some of the exact words that Father Senna said in one of the scenes.
And it's just a mountain of like, how do you solve this when all the odds against you? As you said, the police and the religious people are like, he's great, but he's not one of us because he goes against us.
Yeah, because he's doing the right thing.
Yeah, which is fucked up. I do like the scene between director Lastimosa and the his eminence. I forgot his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
The
All I know is he's the evidence.
yeah, in the talk show face to face where his eminence was like, no, well, we conduct these investigations on our own terms under the church, and the director's like, yeah, but when it comes to molestation, it's kind of our problem now.
Yeah, it is the law's problem now.
Yeah,
And like you have to be. He's demanding them to be more transparent when you can see the priest is very like whatever he wants to say is confidential. He will. And I'm like, man, you don't have that kind of power. You should. I mean, they probably do, but they shouldn't.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's when director Lastimosa gets a heart attack. Like, fuck, I like that guy.
No, well, he's not dead.
Yeah, he's not that, but at the time, you're like, oh shit, what happens now?
Yeah,
Because he's the one guy who's like, alright, I'll allow these priests to do what they need to do. When he gets sidelined, they're like, Father Science and the other guy's like, oh fuck, the people who are going to replace him are idiots. And
yeah,
sure enough,
and will falsely accuse another man.
yeah, and sure enough, Attorney Arsina's like, no, we found a man, fits the description, and we are bringing him in.
Yeah, and like first father said, it's like through what evidence, through what proof you have
Yeah.
that this is the guy, and they do a whole like diagnosis on the guy that's saying
Yeah.
that they got, and for sure you could see in his face like he was paid off. It's
Yeah.
either he had a sick mother or sick family members that this attorney promised to like, hey, we'll take care of your family if you be our scapegoat for this case.
And before that, Director Lastimosa calls up Mappa, Director Mappa. He's like, don't fuck this up. Make sure you got the right evidence. And Mappa's like, well, fuck you.
Yeah, I love that. Like when he called Map, it was like, if I were you, do not take this to the press, because when the press find out that you had the wrong guy, you being in that powerful position, they will take you out of it, or you will look horrible,
Yeah.
like towards the press.
Yeah. And at first, they are following a trail until this point because they're like, oh, it has something to do with the delivery of food to the church. Maybe he's along that line of like,
Mm.
oh, I'm the middleman delivering
Yeah,
food to church.
because he was. That was the thing that they like had in their investigations, that this man's lanky. This man has a little bit of a connection to the kids
Yeah,
that he has murdered. That there is a little bit of a trust, and it does call back to that one scene where the kid was buying barbecue for his mom, and as he went outside of his house, he ran into somebody and he smiled as if he knew them.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, there we go. And their diagnosis for it was really good. Like, these are actually, like really accurate. It was
yeah.
like everything's correct. Like, that's great.
And
That's how you see Father Sen as a really good investigator.
yeah, and we should say the killer goes after young kids because they don't fight back, and he sees himself as weak. And the reason why he tears up their faces is because to strip them of their identification.
Hmm. And of course, there was a pattern to this. This is not just some like
Random killing.
random killing. Like, it's not just like this kid pissed me off and for some reason I'm very immature and killed him. No, it is straight up homicide case where
Yeah.
this man is doing it day per day, like Saturday per Saturday.
Yeah, kills them every Saturday.
Every first, sorry, the first Saturday of each month.
Yeah,
Sorry, and they start to see a pattern. And it was like, and a lot of people, well, especially the defense attorney, was like, there are no serial killers in the film. That's like an unknown thing that happens here. I was like,
like yeah, that you know of.
yeah, exactly. Well, since you're a man who kind of like to sweep things under the rug, I guess you got affected by it too.
Right. Uh, and of course, since they brought in the wrong guy, the killer kills again because I guess he's insulted. Like, how dare you think that guy
Yeah.
is capable of doing what I can do? So he kills again, and with the help of Joanna, who like sees a metal part in the corpse again.
Yeah.
This is a pretty gruesome movie because you're like, oh, there's a big ass rat, and the kid's skull, which has no face.
Yes, and they do show the genitalia gone. I was
Yeah.
like, eesh. They do show a lot of like the victims in this movie. So if you have a weak stomach to this,
Yeah.
don't. But if you do love crime noir, um, I really suggest try giving this a try.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Joanna is actually like a reporter or a journalist,
Yeah. Yeah.
freelance journalist, kind of like Lois Lane
Yeah.
kind of deal.
And then she interviews people who have gone through hard times, including the mothers of the victims and another lady who, yeah, a victim of the lady who's like, it was so hard to give birth to this guy, to my kid, and then only to have him end up being murdered. It's just truly horrific.
Exactly. Like she gets the story of like this woman who had to work as somebody in the laundry business, and when she was about to give birth, she had to walk to the hospital. And I was like,
Yeah.
damn, they do tackle on the whole poverty side of our country.
Yeah.
They do a little bit of commentary on that, and I appreciate it. I really do.
And then one time, Lola visits Father Signs. She gives him a banana cue, right? Or,
I think so.
yeah, and then she's like, Father, what kind of God do we have? Is he a sadistic God?
Yeah, and you got. I appreciate this movie for like our two main characters are priests, but they never shove the belief or religion down the viewer's throat.
Yeah.
As in like, oh, God has a way or something like that. At this point, Father Senna is like, I really don't know.
Yeah.
Like the man is so at a loss that someone is able to commit these atrocities. That at some points when people actually do ask him like, will I go to hell? Will I go to heaven? He was like, I really don't know. Just at some point, see, he would have like that word of like, oh, have faith in God. You don't know the extent of his forgiveness. But there was kind of like him trying to convince himself like there is structure to this horrible world that he lives in.
And he tells Lola, like, it's not God who does this, it's the killer. But I doubt that brings any comfort to Lola. It's just
No,
like,
no, no, no.
Like, oh, cool. The grandson's still dead though.
Hmm.
Uh, I do like the confrontation in CCP where you pointed out this stockbroker businesswoman was like, "Oh, Father Science, be careful. Things come back to you." I'm like, motherfucker, you're supporting a guy who protects child abusers.
Yeah, a man who takes advantage of children.
Hmm.
And I'm like, You see how the money game kind of plays here, and it was like, this is very accurate to our country.
Hmm.
Yes, I know we're having a little bit of commentary on the politics side of our country, but
Eh,
it is the movie.
it is the movie. I also like. Um, after that, the younger priest has to talk about, the EDSA revolution, and hey, let's not forget, even though it's bloodless, the event itself, the path to it was full with blood.
Oh, yeah. There you go. We have commentary on uh, that. What did he say again? About like forgetfulness and forgiveness. Is the ally
Forgetfulness and time is the ally of the
of
abusers.
abusers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just stating
And I was
facts, folks. We're just quoting the
Yep.
movie.
It's real. Sorry. But yeah. And I was like, damn, this is made in 2017, by the way. Time period of the movie is based on the 1990s. And seeing how the environment was, the cell phone that they were using.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
I love how after he finds out they fucked up, director Los Tomaso brings in Philip and Attorney Arsenas to the room and just grills them to the ground.
yeah. And like, just non-stop. It was just like, the man was pretty much like spitting hot fire on these two guys who were like, oh no. There's a point where I was like, I like this director
Yeah.
so much.
Like he's roasting Attorney and then Philip's like, yeah, that's what you get. He's like, you're at fault too, you idiot.
Yeah, you allowed him to do this.
Yeah. He's like,
Like,
don't forget, I have friends. Like, oh, so that's how we're gonna do it.
He was like, all right, I'm willing to play. But it was so weird because then you could see that man was so prideful to the fact that it's like, dude, you're throwing your friend under the bus, but at the same time, you're not noticing that it was you who allowed him to do it.
Yeah.
And you're getting mad at this man for telling you, hey, what you did is fucked up, or like what you did was wrong. I'm like, really?
It's like, the director's like, all right, let's call the president. Tell him that you fucked up because another kid's dead.
Not paraphrasing, by the way. He did say that.
Yeah.
That you fucked up.
Yeah. And then they both get the message with Phil, so like, I also have your precision. And he's like, oh, okay. Eddie, wow.
Yeah. Again, we don't know what the end of this movie is. Hopefully we get a sequel. But yeah, there's a high possibility that a very horrible man will have the director's position one day.
Yeah.
But and then
then-
it cuts to the two priests coming into the office.
Yeah.
And then they were like, it's like, can I gloat? It was like, no, you can't, because an 8-year-old kid died for us to prove him wrong. I was
Yeah.
like, good point. I was like, that's really good dialogue.
Yeah, and then you see like father son's like, are you kidding me? Like, don't you know really a kid had to die and so you can be like, I fucking told you so. No, man, bad timing.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see like where Father Senna's like heart is at.
Yeah.
The man is at the right the entire time. I would say he's like the Morgan Freeman of Seven.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's very much that. And of course, just Father Lusario is like,
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt, minus the dead wife because he is a priest.
Don't
Spoilers
count
on Seven.
Yeah, yeah. If you haven't seen that movie, you're missing out. Then you
Yeah.
truly are. Maybe one day we should do that. Why not?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Her thumbnail is just Brad Pitt with the box. Anyway, I do like how Father Sands gets the idea, like, oh, maybe the killer's working at the medical center because he on a trip to the dentist. He nicks one of the tools, like, see this blade? And the other priest is like, did you fucking steal from the dentist?
Like, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I was like, I like this man.
He makes a point like, you see how fine the cuts are and compared to this blade? And the other priest is like, you have a point. So they go to the medical center, which is a dentist clinic,
Mhm.
and they're like, "Can we check your files?" And one of them people come in to help set the files up, but there's one guy who stands out who's a bit off, named Alex. And
Yeah, the
I'm
man
like,
didn't even show his face. But to be honest, I thought it was a red herring. Like,
yeah,
oh, it's actually the dude with the glasses who actually did it, but he's like so
me
nice.
too.
Yeah, I was like, it's him. It's entirely him. And then they brought in Alex. I was like, no, 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 get out of the way. It's him. I was like, I, I, I cannot be a detective.
uh, but they pinpoint that Alex works here only full time, but he's off a few times. Like coincidentally enough, like oh, that's the exact same time frame that the killer does this.
Yeah, he's new.
Yeah,
Like the killing started probably around February, and the man started working there at November. So he is fairly new to his work.
yeah. And Alex is a smart guy, though you find out from an interview with former classmates, like no, the guy is off, because he came
Mm.
to me like, "You want to go to a reunion?" Like, bro, can't you see? I have no time for that. And he starts
Mm.
screaming at his former classmate and starts hitting the cars. He tells Alex like, just fuck off.
Yeah, and like, oh, we're not friends anymore. And I was like, man, we weren't friends at all. And especially now, we're never gonna be friends
Yeah.
after you trashed my cars.
And
But
then
yeah, you can see that like that character was off. And was like, oh.
And then you really get confirmation when he barges into the office and the guy with glasses is like, "What are you doing?" And he just shoves him aside. Like, oh, here we go.
Oh yeah, good job, Alex. I thought you were smart. That's very
Right.
inconspicuous. At least Kevin Spacey had the decency to look like a normal person.
Yeah. Until
Well, until he came
until he
downstairs
walked
with-
into the police
like-
station all covered in blood. Like,
Well,
Huh.
that was like his Chad move, his like trump card was like, you guys were too slow. I got bored. Here I am. Here's that guy.
yeah.
He,
Which unfortunately Alex is not, because
Hmm.
he tries to kill another kid, and the poor kid gets decked with a rock. Like, oh fuck!
but like for some reason has a skull of steel.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god! It runs off. I was like, wow, good for you. kid."
Right? Like, how are you not just on the ground
Yeah.
already?
And like one of the adults at the side of the road like
Yeah.
saw and tried to stop Alex, and
I don't know how Alex got to push him off though.
yeah,
That
I
guy
don't know
was
either.
huge.
I will say though, like the choreography for that was a little bit off, but that's
Yeah.
just a nitpick. It doesn't it doesn't ruin the scene for me.
I mean,
Um,
it is a big man just tackling a guy to the ground, just going. Like, I hope
Yeah.
I'm doing enough damage.
Yeah, but we also got a scene before this was Alex actually brought a jar of one of the kids' face to his office.
Yeah, because he's like, I know you're after me,
Mm.
and you won't get me. I'm better than you.
Yeah, exactly.
Fortunately, that night, Alex decided to be sloppy for some reason.
I guess so. Yeah, he was like, "I'm better than you." Whoops.
Like, man, not that I would know. Wouldn't just bring something heavier to knock someone out instead of just a rock?
What are you trying to say?
A hammer? I don't know. I don't know.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Well, this has been our video. Bye. No, I'm kidding.
Enzo serial killer? Question mark.
But yeah, you see NBI swarming his place, and they go through his stuff, and poor attorney finds the jar filled with penises.
And the man starts to throw. I was like, sorry, I'm laughing, but like that's a horrible scene. But the man throwing up is funny. I don't
I
like
mean,
it.
early on he's like, he's stealing their penises, and then later on he's like, "Ugh." Like,
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's a good callback. I didn't notice that.
yeah, like, not so tough now, are you fucking idiot?
Yeah. And
Alex does
later on,
kill an adult though, because he managed to. I don't know if that's the same adult.
no, it was like flashbacks to. Was it the same adult? I'm not sure because they were showing Alex stabbing an older person, but it was somewhere confined, and I didn't know where it was.
Same. And then
So, but then yeah, you see Alex like again. If you're squeamish and you don't like gore, please try something else. But if you don't mind, this guy does cut his lower jaw and starts giving himself lacerations,
Yeah.
and it is very they
With
don't cut from it.
with that tool, like,
Yeah, I was like, uh, there's like skin hanging from his like bottom like
yeah,
chin. I was like, but yeah, if you're not that squeamish, I think you could muster through it. But like, it is hard to see
yeah, yeah.
that he was doing self-inflicted wounds to himself.
And he calls the police like, I want Father Signs, no one else. And Father Signs like, all right, I'll go in. Try to
Yeah.
talk him down. But the police are like, if he tries anything, we're gonna shoot him. Like, no, try to bring him alive. No promises,
Yeah.
Father.
Okay, like I was on Father Sign's side for the whole movie. I was like, I love this man. This man's amazing. And I was like, oh, we need more people like this in the real world. And then somebody gave him like a bulletproof vest. I was like, I ain't gonna need this. I was like, he doesn't have a gun. I was like, you don't know that.
Exactly, yeah. We said the same thing, like, Father, the younger guy said, like, you don't know that.
Yeah. I was like, what the hell, man? Okay, fine. For sure, I think the stab wounds that you got later on would have helped if you had that vest on.
Right. But he is talking like, am I going to heaven or hell? It's like, I don't know, but I can help you. It's never
Yeah.
too late.
I'm not gonna lie, this was a cool scene. Going through the hallway. I don't know where this was. Um,
Best
but
guess is QC. Somewhere in
maybe.
QC.
maybe. Um, if no one knows what QC is, Quezon City.
Quezon City.
And this is like straight up horror movie. So I was like, it was freaky. Like at the same time, I was like, is he gonna come out the corner and stab Father Signs? I don't know. But then you see him at the side of the corner bleeding,
Yeah.
and he's like, nope, he just wants to talk.
Um,
And I will say this was not the best like resolve in movie. I'm not saying like, oh, it was directed horribly. I'm saying like you will kind of want more.
yeah.
The entire talk that they had, if you want to go on it, but that's
Yeah, just, am I going to hell? We don't know. But there's never too late for God's forgiveness on earth and in the afterlife, so I don't think so.
yeah. It was like one of the first times Father Science stopped being a detective and just became a priest
Yeah, yeah.
to a serial killer, and they were talking, and I forgot what Alex asked was. I forgot what he asked. Like, it made Father sense. Like, wait, what do you mean? Expand on that. He was like, nah, I don't think I will.
I've read too, but he's like, it's never too late for help. He reaches out to Alex, and Alex like, don't touch me. And then that's when he draws the knife and starts stabbing him.
That's what I was like. Oh, oh my god. I was like, no, one of the best characters in this movie. No.
And then Father Sands comes through. He's alive, obviously. And he's like, where's Alex? And I'm surprised he wasn't gunned down. He was able to walk out of there somehow.
Man, wasn't John Marston outside of the door?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I guess he had an escape route
Yeah.
that no other person knew, I guess.
Yeah, but
But
since he cut so deep into his neck, I'm guessing that's what killed him.
yeah, self-inflicted wounds that
Yeah.
like started to bleed out and just died on the landfill,
Yeah.
which is again hard to watch
Uh,
because that's a lot. That's a lot like how the other kids were found.
yeah.
So it's kind of like poetic justice.
And as he's recovering, he bumps the classmate of Alex, wants to talk to him. And again, if you're easily triggered, what he talks about is quite disturbing.
Yes, it. Okay, we're gonna. When they tell the story, it was very detailed. While Father Lazario was talking to the parents of Alex, Father Senna was talking to one of the classmates, and the classmates expanded on like, "Hey, our PE teacher got 7 of us boys, and took advantage of us. That is all I'm gonna go."
Yeah, yeah.
And he does go into full detail in the movie if you guys want to know what it was. Go nuts. But you could actually finally feel the weight of like, oh, and Alex was the one who had
Got
it
the
the
worst.
worst. Yeah, he had the worst of it. And you kind of see, it was like, Damn, that's messed up. And this is why I think is that scene where I think he was imagining himself stabbing his PE teacher.
Hmm.
I think that was the scene that he had when he was like cutting himself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it was real or he killed somebody before that because they didn't say anything about like an older gentleman who had died,
Yeah, yeah.
like another dead body. But yeah, I think that was him like fascinating, like having fantasies of like killing his PE teacher.
Hmm.
And
And
yeah,
yeah, it is. This is why I only seen this movie twice, because that end bit, Rick.
no, because
Fuck.
like the guy who's telling the story, he was just there for maybe 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Dude delivered it so well, and it was very believable to the point where it's like, this kind of sounds like a kid who went through traumatic shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Like
why I can only
the
watch
man
this.
has grown. Yeah, the man has grown up and hasn't moved on from it yet.
Yeah. It's kind of like 7 2. It's like, I would like to watch it, but I have better things to do right now.
Yeah, and we also find out that Alex was actually formulating plans to get one of the like the, his remaining classmates who went through it
Yeah.
to pretty much commit murder to their PE teacher, and all of them denied it because
Yeah.
of course they didn't want to kill anybody. That's why they were asking him, "Hey, you want to go to the reunion?" or "Hey, do you want to visit our old coach right now?" And of course, everybody denied him, and I think this is when he started killing kids.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And then we close on Father Science is having holding mass, and Joanna visits him. He's like, hey, I have another case. It's pretty gruesome, too.
yeah, somewhere in Bacolod, and yeah, and again, right? They do show the body, and it's a dead woman, and I was like, "Oof,
Yeah.
okay." And I really want to see the next movie. Like this looks like a cliffhanger to like, "Hey, he's not yet done," and you love Father Science where he's like, "Hey, I have another case for you," and he's like, "You want to eat breakfast?"
Yeah.
He's like, "This is serious. We need you in this case. Let's have breakfast first," and that's when the movie ends. I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, that's good. That I like that ending."
Yeah. So we reached the end, and what would you rate this?
I will say this is not as good as Seven, or it's not as convoluted, or it doesn't make you investigate the crime scene with them. This is what I like about crime movies. Nonetheless, it was a really good story.
Yeah.
It was written so well. Commentary on everything that they wanted to talk about was there, even though it was very subtle. You kind of got the picture if you like really looked into it, and I appreciate it. Um, there were a lot of scenes where I was like, I kind of wish they did that better, where they revealed who the killer was. I was like, it's not as rewarding, I'll say,
Yeah.
because they started showing the killer and he had he started showing his face. He's like, oh, there he is in panic mode trying to steal his like tools and get back home. I was like, I kind of wish, you know, you hit it a little bit better,
Yeah.
because now we know who the killer is, and now my tensions are kind of gone.
Yeah.
And of course, they brought it back up when Father Science and Alex were alone. But other than that, everybody did an amazing job. To the kids who played as the kids who have been killed, to the classmates of Alex who were also traumatized by the experience that they all went through. Um, Father Science and Father Losario's actors, they're fucking amazing. The director, they're all so good. And I would give this one straight up 8.5. Not the
Mm.
best crime movie, but it's so good. Because a lot of the times in the Philippines, we do not have movies like this.
Yeah.
So it's such a breath of fresh air just to see a movie like this. And I
Yeah.
love it. And I want to see another movie with the same cast in it.
Yeah, I'll also give this an 8. Like you pointed out, like we don't have a lot of these. Like once in a while, we'll have a Henry Luna, a Cousins game, smaller and smaller circles, but it's few and far between nowadays. Which
Mm.
I guess, in terms of our local industry, it's fine. But I wish there was more movies like this, because it is kind of like our version of Seven. Like
Yeah.
the only thing edging it out is that Seven has more like moments where I go, "Blech."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the fact that it's revolves around two unique characters in a very interesting situation, battling things a lot of people here battle against.
Yeah.
And it's like a wall, a mountain they have to climb, and once they reach base camp, it's still like you still have a ways to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, 8 out of 10 is a very unique Filipino movie, and also I should have pointed this out. It's very quiet. It's very
Quiet?
Yeah, slow burn too.
Oh, it is a slow burn, but at the same time, you're very intrigued.
Yeah.
Like you would love to watch them do their work. A lot of the times it's just paperwork. A lot of the times they're just going to the places where the kids were killed, and I'm like, there's no shootout, there's no gunfight, nothing. Like I said before, there was not a single shot fired in this movie. And I got to give it to Ryan Martin here. Amazing director. I'll give it that. I really do want to see another movie. If ever somebody sees this review, please. These two people want to see more of this.
The geeks and genres say we want more. But that's been the end of our Filipino movie slate. We'll do this again next year. Hopefully, we'll choose other interesting movies, or maybe we'll just pick some of the romance movies.
I would say the lineup that you picked really fit the theme, except for what was it called again?
7 Sundays.
7 Sundays. I would say like that's a far 180 turn from where we went to.
Yeah. Oh well.
But the lineup that you picked was really, really good for our independence.
Thank you. Any Filipino movies we should do for our next lineup, please comment below. Or if it fits a lineup, we should do one of them at least. But yeah, that's been our video for smaller and smaller circles. Wow, I had a hard time saying that, didn't I?
It's okay.
But yeah, you can find us at Facebook at facebook.com/Geeks and Degenerates. We react to trailers. We stream video games. We stream about our lives. We have a Spotify podcast. If you don't like our faces, you can find us there. And for this Independence Day lineup, we'll have some entries for our Spotify podcast, which, has something to do with Filipino history. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
Individually, you can find me at Yandalfus1995 on IG and Twitter. How about you?
You can find me at JomGeom on Instagram. It is my art account.
Alright. Please remember to stay safe, wear a mask, social distance, and get vaccinated if you can. Get your booster for fuck's sake already. And for now, that's all the time we have for this video at least. See you on the next one. Bye.
Ciao.